This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Well, joining us today is Steve Xerri, the Executive Director of Oscillate PLC. That's the ticker MUSH, M-U-S-H, on the Aquis Exchange. Thank you very much for joining us today. Steve, Happy New Year. How are things?
Thank you very much, Mark. Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Things are good.
Excellent. Well, it's the first time that we're speaking with the company here, Oscillate. And of course, some news this morning. You had a general corporate and website update. So, first of all, perhaps could you give us maybe the high level overview of the company, the sort of elevator pitch, if you like, what you're all about?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I've been appointed to the business for 7 weeks now. Okay. So what investors got to see today was kind of a high level overview. Which is what I've been doing for my first kind of opening kind of salvo within the business. So having been appointed, I felt it would be prudent to do a full kind of business review on where the business sat. And I've, throughout the 7 week period, took the opportunity to fine tune some things, optimize our performance from a financial perspective, which is obviously extremely important. Mm-hmm. As you and our investors will know, we are an Aquis listed investment company. So one of our key, characteristics is the fact that we hold cash to invest in businesses. So it was important from my perspective that I was able to understand where we were from that perspective and put in a level of resilience so that we can maintain that as I start this journey. So that's what you saw this morning.
Okay, so in terms of optimizing performance from a financial perspective, so that involves things like cutting unnecessary costs. And I also noticed you've got cash in a reasonably interest-friendly bank account as well.
Yeah, that's right. So what I've done, Mark, is I've really kept it simple because I've looked at the business. Certainly of late, recently, I'm the executive director, but the person that's taken the responsibility to drive this business forward. But I also own a good percentage of the business myself. Okay. So therefore, I've adopted the same processes and procedures that I would do in my household budgeting, where I'm looking to make sure that every pound's an effective prisoner. That we're spending it wisely, and these are the important elements that matter to me as the exec director, and they've got to play and represent what my investors and shareholders require as well. So that's what I'm diligently keeping in the back of my mind in all the decisions that I make on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. And as I understand from reading the announcement and also looking through the website, Oscillate really is an investment company looking for opportunities in mining tech, but I also noticed you had perhaps links in there or accreditations perhaps in the psychedelics space. But before we perhaps get on to the future, is it worth just touching a bit on the history, like what the company was all about, given the change of you coming in recently and of course they're looking for new investments? So is it worth just perhaps dwelling on a little bit of where the company's come from?
It is. So just let me fully answer your previous question. So from a Treasury management perspective, obviously we have a good portion of cash that sits on our balance sheet. So with the interest rates that are currently out in the marketplace at the moment, I took it upon myself that while those cash resources are key, for us, we should be being as smart as possible. So we put it into an interest account that we can get access to quite quickly should we require it. And I took guidance from my advisor, but also on my board, John Treasury is an ex-nomad. And that provides me with a significant advantage because he's looked at and dealt with all of the dynamics within the marketplace. So we were able to assess from a business perspective that we weren't, putting any corporate risks on our side while taking those attractive opportunities to bring some cash in It might not stay forever because obviously we're looking to do some smart things with our cash. But it certainly meant that we could draw a line and try and retain as much of our cash position as possible.
Indeed. And I mean, can you say how much cash you have or not at the moment?
All I can say to you is really, investors should be looking back at that last announcement where we have given our exact cash levels.
Okay.
It's not wise of me to discuss where my current cash level is at the moment. I'm quite confident in the fact that we have enough cash to deploy successfully and sustainably. And I think people would be surprised at the amount of strength, not only financially that we have, but also in the investments that we have.
Okay. And what was the company's sort of business before now? So leading, how long has the company been established for, and what was their interests?
So the company was established in 2021, predominantly to take advantage of the psychedelic and medical cannabis space.
Okay.
Through the period from inception to now, the investment policy has changed. It's now taken on a special situational side, which effectively enables the company to look at a broader spectrum of investment opportunities, so we can find hopefully a perfect fit for this business to grow and maintain itself in the future. So we've almost got a blank sheet. I've spoken again because I'm taking guidance where I can, Mark. I'll be foolish not to. And I'm really testing every element of this business to understand exactly how exciting I can make the future. Because for me to come on as the exec director, people may well have picked up on my bio. I'd had a previous 30-year career, and I almost effectively came out of retirement to take on this position. So I'm passionate to want to deliver something that's going to, be exciting and have a wow factor, and something that not only I'll be proud of, but investors will be as well.
Okay, well, that sounds good, getting something exciting going. Just before we touch on what might be to come, the company was established in 2021. Did it not really do much in the last 2 to 3 years? And you talked about it being a psychedelic-focused company, but did nothing really materialise?
Well, I don't think nothing materialised. I think, I've often pondered this exact same question myself. I think where we get challenged in the UK from a regulatory perspective is our country's ability to sort of not to understand, but to allow, things like psychedelics to become, part of, our treatment processes in this country. So it's very difficult to sometimes get these things from a regulation perspective across the line. And in fact, they're often slower than what we would hopefully wish for. And certainly I remember when psychedelics came across, it first started in Canada. And it was a really exciting, area of growth. But I just don't see that it has grown as quickly as perhaps people would have liked. So therefore, for Oscillate, it's almost kind of slowed that process down and slowed the evolution of this business down. And this is why you'll notice that we went through some policy changes to enable us to effectively breathe. Because had we have stayed directly within that swim lane, then, it could have been an even longer and protracted future for the business, which is not what investors have expressed that they'd like to see.
No, indeed. Well, thank you for that. It's good to know a bit about where the company has come from. So just looking, your market cap, so it's under £1,950,000 as of today, and we're starting the new year. You've said earlier, starting with a blank sheet. This is really, almost day one, starting again sort of thing, looking for growth. I know you mentioned in the RNS that the business review is now done. You want to focus on growth. So, 2024, it's a long year. We've just started it. At the end of the year, we won't be saying it was long. It will have gone very quick, I'm sure. But what are your plans then? It says on the website about perhaps mining or tech investments. Can you give us a flavour of what you want to do to focus on this growth and deliver some value?
Sure. So while all this optimization has been going on, I've also been reviewing companies from an RTO perspective. That environment is quite a challenging one in itself, because Oscillate as a business, would take on all of the financial liabilities. So we've got to think extremely carefully about the next moves. I think 2024 is going to be a long year, and I hope it will be a successful one. What I've done, what I believe is the smartest thing I can do. I've looked for examples of where things have gone extremely well. So from an aqueous exchange perspective, I've looked at the likes of Marula that have done an effective asset build while on that exchange. And I've looked at how the business has achieved that objective, because it's gone from 1 pence to 13 pence. So I don't think we could find a better example than what we've seen in that sense. And I'm looking around and I'm speaking to people, and I know what good looks like, and I'm looking to draw and pull on all of those good examples and implement them into our investment future. So I think that's probably the best thing I can say is, having been an investor for 20 years, I've observed all of the behaviours within the marketplace, and I'm looking to crystallise that whole journey into my position as the exec director, and make sure that I deliver something which is going to make me proud, and also our investors. And there's a way that it can be done, and it will be done. And I've got the determination to deliver against it, I can assure you.
Okay. And is it investments that you're looking for, or are you looking to get involved actively in a project, like operate it?
Well, potentially, yeah, all of those things, Mark.
Right, okay. Everything's on the table.
This is what's happened with Marula. So they've taken small stakes in businesses to start with, and then they've grown. And this is what I'm saying to my advisors is, where are our boundaries? Because I know what I'd like to do from day one. And I've just got to make sure that we do it smartly, which I know that we will. But I would love to be an operating company. That would be fantastic.
Well, certainly you mentioned Marula there. That is definitely one of the standout success stories, certainly on Aquis for last year. And I'm sure we'll be talking to the team and Jason quite a lot this year as they continue to build there. Can I ask you, it's very difficult to talk timelines, but would you hope to have something announced, Q1?
So yes, I would. What I've done at the moment is I've collected up, so I've seen 2 or 3 good RTO prospects. As I've said to you, the engagement for Oscillate as a business, there are some corporate risks involved, because as we've seen in the past, not all RTOs make it to that pathfinder and then a listing on a different exchange, which is what our investors have said they would like. I've also looked at some other opportunities, and I'm currently at a stage with my board where we're not only speaking to our advisors, but I've also set up a screening panel now, because I'm minded that we've got to make the right decisions. There's been some decisions that this business has made in the past, and they may, in hindsight, have been regretful. So we're not going to be making those mistakes again. We're going to make our decisions once, and we're going to make them right. So part of that will be in the early part of January to sit down with an eclectic group of investors who are shareholders in this business. And while I won't be wall crossing anyone, because until we go binding on heads of terms, I can speak with them, and I want to speak to my investors, and I want to understand from them what good looks like. That will then enable me to actually go and drive and find a successful future for this business. So I don't want to go any grayer in this role than I need to. So I should be looking to make some smart moves, and I hope that 2024 will be the year that Oscillate will shine.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for introducing the company today for us there, Steve Xerri, the Exec Director of Oscillate PLC. I look forward to speaking to you fairly soon.
Thank you very much, Mark. Much appreciated.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.